Welcome back, ChemRats and Hive Mice, to this evening's Pirate Voxcast of 665.66 ChemRat Radio. This is the third night of Noctis Servitum Eternus. Make sure to light your third candles for all those spirits who serve us on eternally. As we approach the Festivus Apex, keep an eye out for all those cool little hand-carved frost gourds. It's one of my personal favorite parts of the season, seeing all the artwork the Hive kids put into these handmade festival decorations. As always, I am your devilish plasma fiend, Goblin King, and I am joined today by the jester of Junktown, Marky.
Joe.
The purveyor of rocket-propelled goods, Beast.
How's it going, everyone?
And our food and drink specialist, Kevin. Tell us, how is all that thick cornstarch you've been drinking?
It is most definitely not recommended.
Tonight, we have a special guest for you on the Voxcast, Dr. Facilier, our foremost specialist in bone readings and Obscurus Fortunas.
Hey.
On this episode, Lorus Obscurus 4, we are going to tell you a little bit about one of the cryptids that we find super interesting in American folklore. And then we're going to dive into our third of the Chaos God's Khorne with a story that Kevin came up with for us.
Spooky dookie.
Yep. But yeah, guys, this is the Spooky Dookie episode. So pull up a blanket.
Strap on and let's go.
Strap on.
Pull up a strap on and then let's do it.
I was going to try to set a tone. You're setting a different tone.
I was
going to say,
a tone.
turn off.
Everybody's got a thing.
Turn off all the lights. Turn off all the lights. Maybe light one candle. Put it in a different room so it's a little spooky dooky where
light
you
one
are.
candle. Put it in your butt. Whatever you want.
Just stealing jokes now, huh? That's what we doing out here?
That's how we do.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. Don't ever disrespect me.
You ever disrespect me again.
It's like when you're playing fucking Space Hulk and there's the dudes who are like hunched over and they've got burners on their back or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like they're not candles. Or there's a deeper part of the Space Hulk where there's just like acolytes with their asses in the air and there's one fucking taper candle sticking out of it.
The Inquisitor's dock chamber.
This is where we say the special incantations.
The holy candle goes. The holy candle goes on the holy pillow. It puts the holy lotion on its skin.
Or it gets the candle again.
Gets the candle again.
Inquisitor, what do we call these? Oh, those are the winking statues.
Special statues.
I thought we might call them asalabras.
That's actually really clever. That's really clever.
That's when there's like multiple candles sticking out. They're not all going the same direction.
Yeah, it's
like a crystal structure, but just random.
Yeah,
it's like a blooming onion.
I keep going to grab the candlestick, but it keeps moving.
Why are these candles so slippery, my lord?
Blessed be the emperors.
Oh my. All right, so
Chris, can you come relight this candle? My fart blew it out.
the statue is like beautifully rendered in bronze. It's just some fucking acolyte with his ass hanging out.
It's just art. It's like an Iron Maiden.
That part of it, that part
locked into it. But
oh
assless.
man,
An assless
Iron Maiden.
It's the time of night where I'm tired and I'm just gonna say weird shit.
No, like when you hear or you see like statues and like this everyone in this town thinks that this brass face is like the lady, like everybody's touched the right side of her face. So like the whole statue's like kind of not corroded, but it's got that,
but that one side has
it,
like a
and that one side is all
mark.
nice and shiny. You just go by these statues and their ass cheeks are just nice and shiny. Everything else is like corroded and black and shiny asses. You're like, no one's been in this Space Hulk for thousands of years.
This is
what you're talking about.
This is a holy place.
There may have been a gene stealer or two.
This is a very holy sanctum.
You know how like cats rub their faces against random pieces of furniture? You walk down the corridor and there's just a gene stealer like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Just think about what it would look like though for these statues, because if these candles are in them, like you've seen when like the candle wax, like they don't clean up. So this
It's just like
it's just down the crack.
It's like a white blast of candle wax.
It's down the crack.
like in wax Niagara Falls.
It's rolling down the thigh towards the knee.
What a beautiful looking statue of a waterfall. That's no waterfall.
That's no moon.
Jeff, that's no waterfall.
Oh my God. All right, guys. So in the last several episodes of Lorus Obscurus, we've kind of focused a little bit more on ghosty stuff, but we also have a lot of love for cryptids, and the entity we're going to talk about today, the phenomenon we're going to talk about today, kind of bridges that gap between, is it a spirit or is it a cryptid or is it a little bit of both? Today, we're going to talk to you guys about the black dog, because we've got a couple of black dog stories. So to kick it all off here in mandatory podcast fuck around time, although I think we got a good start already.
Assless Iron Man.
You know what's funny is just like how when we were playing Alien and I made that comment about that alien wanted to tongue punch my fart box, and then we got a picture of said activity back in Discord.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure once this episode drops, all of these things
Oh my God.
are going to come back to haunt us.
Oh my God.
It won't haunt us.
So
It's coming back to haunt somebody.
So to redirect us, the black dog is a supernatural, spectral, or demonic entity, very prevalent in English folklore. And in this particular case, when we say English folklore, again, a lot of these myths started in England, but they're also really prevalent. Sightings of this creature are very prevalent in English-speaking countries.
Well, I mean, and also, I mean, the origins of this, like being someone from England, the origins of this actually trace back to Scotland.
Yep.
Scotland is one of the first places that you will hear about the black dog. In fact, there's even pubs in Scotland named the Black Dog because of this like phenomenon.
Yeah, we're gonna cover a
Phenomenon.
We'll touch on a couple of bits of folklore from England and then the United States. A lot like with our Woman in White, we could probably do several episodes just on the black dog, but we're going to do a little bit more of a overview for you guys.
I thought the lady in white was cocaine.
You were here for the recording of that episode.
Dismembers.
It's like clearly he was high on cocaine.
So this black dog is normally unnaturally large with glowing red or yellow eyes, and it is often connected to the devil. Think hellhounds.
Oh, good.
Or omens of
Glad
death.
I have a black dog story.
Hold on. Or omens of impending death. However, some just have connections to crossroads, where fairies or crossroads demons would also often come up in lore, or places of mass executions. Generally, they're regarded as sinister or evil. Some are said to have even caused direct harm to people. However, other times they're seen as guardians or protectors. They might guard travelers at night or block the incorrect path to redirect people away from danger. In some cases of folklore, it is believed that the first to be buried in a graveyard stays behind and doesn't cross over into the spirit world. This spirit is said to help other spirits move on while also shielding the residents of the graveyard from any evil spirits. As most people would prefer to avoid this fate, cemeteries would often bury a dog first, which would return in the shape of a big black dog and act to protect the cemetery and help the spirits or the people interned there cross over into the spirit world. The black dog, as I mentioned before, is well recognized worldwide in various countries' folklores. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a taste. We're only going to do a couple. And the first one we're going to talk about is the Black Shuck, because this is one that has its own name, and I've heard of several times. So this is the Norfolk, Suffolk, Lincolnshire, and northern parts of Essex.
Yeah.
The black dog found in this area is known as the Black Shuck or Old Shuck or Shock, and it is regarded as malevolent, with stories ranging from terrifying people to killing them or being a portent of death to those who see them or persons close to that victim, the person it's terrifying. There are tales that in 1577, it attacked a church in the market town of Bungay, killing 2 people and appearing on the same day at a church in the nearby village of Blythburgh, taking the lives of another 3 and leaving claw marks which remain in the walls of the church to this day. In the parish of Overstrand, there is a dreary lane known as Shuck's Lane from its frequent appearances in this area. If the spots where it was just seen is examined, one may find scorch marks and the smell of brimstone. There are also less common tales of similar dogs said to accompany people on their way home in the role of protector from misfortunes or this Black Shuck. Among other possible meanings, the name Shuck is derived from the word from another word meaning shaggy. So he's got kind of a shaggy appearance. The church grim guards the local Christian church and the attached churchyard from those who would profane them, including thieves, vandals, witches, and warlocks. For this purpose, it was a custom to bury a dog alive under the cornerstone of the church as a foundational sacrifice. Sometimes the grim will toll the bells at midnight before death occurs. At funerals, the presiding clergyman may see the dog looking out from the church tower to determine and use this to determine whether or not the soul of the departed is bound towards heaven or hell. Another tradition states that when a new churchyard was opened, the first man buried there had to guard it against the devil. To save a human soul, as I just mentioned, they would bury a black dog instead. And the northern part of the churchyard is a substitute. So a church grim is not bound to any particular part of England. It's just something that is talked about a lot in England. Tom, do you have any there's a lot of other examples. Do you have any other examples that jump out?
Some insider knowledge.
I mean, you mentioned the fairy hounds of Scotland and Wales.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was like, there's a very big one that was just known as, what was it? The Canterbury Beast, I think was one. That was actually an old story that like I'd been told when I was a kid, from my nan, which actually I believe took place in Canterbury. And it was basically just like this goes back to like the times of like, you know, people were talking about werewolves, you know, and like I think that the origin of like werewolf stories started from these black dog stories. Because I mean, like the big one in Scotland, and the reason why a lot of these stories come from that, like I said, there are pubs named the Black Dog, is sheepdogs were very, very prominent up in Scotland. Also, the rolling hills. When you're traveling on roads up there, you know, you're traveling for very long durations of time with no lights. You know, there are no street lights on these mountain roads or these meadow roads. So a lot of the times you would see sightings of this, and wolves. There are wolves in England. You know, there are those animals there. So especially in the northern countryside. So, you know, a lot of that kind of came into play with a lot of these older stories.
That's cool stuff. I've always really liked that. The really cool thing about a lot of the black dog tales from different parts of the world and in folklore is a lot of them are named. So like when we talk about, for instance, when we talked about white ladies in the last episode, you know, a lot of the white ladies are like the white lady of, you know, Harmony Grove or whatever. That's her name. In this particular case, you've got Old Shuck, you've got the Beast of Canterbury, you've got the Yeth Hounds, you've got the Fairy Hounds. They all have their independent names while still all being kind of tied back to this shared lore, which I think is pretty neat. So here in the United States, black dog folklore likely spread with England as the Americas were colonized. The legend of a small black dog has persisted in Meriden, Connecticut since the 19th century. The dog is said to haunt the Hanging Hills, a series of rock ridges and gorges that serve as a popular recreation area. The first non-local account that appeared in the Connecticut Quarterly is described it as a death omen. It is said that if you meet the black dog once, it shall be for joy. If twice, it shall be for sorrow. At a third time, the black dog shall bring you death. New England black dog comes from southeastern Massachusetts in an area known by some as the Bridgewater Triangle. After we've gone through some of our favorite cryptids and laid out some stuff, we'll probably do a Bridgewater Triangle episode or attempt to. The Bridgewater Triangle is really fucking interesting. It's like a land-based Bermuda Triangle. A lot of weird stuff happened there, including a lot of like actual like serial killer-y stuff and people going missing and being found later in pieces. In the mid 1970s, the town of Abington was reportedly terrorized by a large black dog that caused quite a panic. A local fireman saw it attacking horses. Local police unsuccessfully searched for it, claiming at first that they didn't see a black dog, but eventually a police officer did sight a dog walking along the train tracks and shot at it. Apparently, the bullets had no effect on the animal and it walked off, never to be seen again. In the lore of long-haul truckers across the United States, seeing a black dog with red eyes in your peripheral vision is a sign of a fatal car crash being imminent, and you should pull off the road immediately. Some think the dog is just the eyes beginning to subconsciously close, causing a black spot to appear in the corner of your eye, which is kind of an interesting. We always talk about like, is there a logical explanation of what's happening?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I knew as the black dog, seeing the black dog. Whenever I heard that, because like, you know, in England, the folklore was, I just heard folklore about, you know, the Beast of Canterbury, things like that. When I was living in America, learning how to drive and then driving at night, being, you know, a general adult and experiencing more driving,
right?
It was literally called, hey, if you start seeing the black dog, you need to pull over and go to sleep.
Yeah, you're too tired. Yeah. So obviously legends have a tendency to creep into popular culture, and as to where in the last couple of cases we've introduced lore aspects or cryptids and ghosts and stuff, or ghosts really, that may have like a standalone movie or a standalone episode and like a television show. This is the first time, the black dog is the first time that we can talk about a lot of stuff. Or not a lot of stuff, but a lot of like widely popularized stuff. So the most famous black dog story, or the most famous appearance of black dogs in fiction, is in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Hounds of Baskerville, where large dog-like creatures haunt a family estate. Sherlock Holmes is brought in to determine if the dog is in fact real or supernatural. So not only is this a story that you can obviously read, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is a well-known author, but there's a movie, I think Vincent Price, I don't know if Vincent Price is in it, but it is definitely a Vincent Price era horror film or thriller film called The Hounds of Baskerville. It's pretty good. And there's been a couple of like remakes or interpretations. So they've done like, there's a sci-fi version. There's a version set in the Old West that kind of follow the same thing. Also, for those of you who are a little bit younger, obviously the Grimm, which is a giant supernatural dog that haunts churchyards, appears in the Harry Potter series. Finally, the English rock band Led Zeppelin has a song called Black Dog, which is loosely inspired by sightings of black dogs. Oh, yeah, there you guys go. Ooh. Apparently, possibly also a band member's dog was black, but you know, that's not true.
That makes too much sense.
So yeah, that's kind of a background on the black dog. The black dog, again, like I mentioned, we're starting to venture our toes, dip our toes into cryptid territory, because some of our experiences have to do with weird sightings of weird animals. So we wanted to find something that kind of bridged the gap. Guys, what stories do we have? What ghost stories do we have? What spooky dookies do we have for our audience tonight?
I got one. Do you guys got a black dog story?
I mean, I kind of do. I don't know if it's exactly black dog, but I mean,
I don't know what to think about my black dog story. It's kind of weird.
Now that you know a little bit of the background?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, oh, he's a guardian, or he's like just a thing in your eye, or he's there to because somebody's about to die,
Get murked.
So I guess I'll start. You guys are cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I used to have a group of friends. I no longer hang out with them. Not these guys, obviously, because I'm still hanging out with you motherfuckers.
Let me tell you something, all right?
don't you?
Thank you, co-host Obvious. Thank you, co-host Obvious. Yes.
They were like my high school group of friends. Like every Friday night, we would get together, play some Smash Brothers, drink, hang out, do the thing, Well, one Friday we decided to go see a movie. Saw the movie, came back to my place. Me and my friends all lived in essentially the same block. So at the beginning of the block, that was I didn't live with my parents at the time. I was already out of the house. But they still lived with their parents in the same area. And my house was the first house, or my parents' house was the first house on the block. And then maybe 4 houses down was my buddy's house. And then if you were to do a 180 from the front of my friend's house up on a hill was my other friend's house. So we all kind of lived in like a semi-triangle kind of deal. At my house, it was kind of like there was a main street. And if you go left, it's a dead end. And that my parents lived on the corner of that place. So we all watched this movie. We went inside my parents' house, and they grabbed all their stuff. It was probably probably 2 a.m. at this point. It was starting to get pretty late. I think they're just gathering their things, and we all talked. All normal shit with your friends. You're not in a rush on Friday night.
Let's stand around in the parking lot, talk.
Yeah, pretty much. And
yeah, we're strangers to that.
Yeah, right.
We definitely don't do that.
I call that one.
Podcast got started.
I call that parking lot pimping.
Parking lot pimping. Yeah, except we were parking lot pimping in my front room.
Right.
Because it's probably cold or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies was like, "Hey, I'm gonna call him Buddy B." Buddy B, the guy that lived 4 houses down from me, was like, "Hey, man, it's late. I'm gonna walk home." I'm like, "You sure, dude? I can give you a ride. It's no biggie." He's like, no, I'll walk home. It's not
4 houses.
Exactly. And I was just trying to be nice, So Buddy B leaves, and Buddy C, the guy that lives up on the hill, was like, yeah, if you don't mind, I would appreciate it, right? And I was like, yeah, dude, it's no problem. So we're about to head out. They're gathering all their stuff, and Buddy B comes back inside the house as we were about to leave. He's just like, I think I might need a ride. We're just like, why? What's up, dude? He's like, there's a dog out there. We're like, oh. In front of my house? He's like, well, he's at the end of the cul-de-sac. I was like, okay, well, does he look angry? What's the deal? He's like, no, he's just kind of laying there. So at the end of the cul-de-sac, you got your street light, and the street light's pointing down, right in the center of the cul-de-sac. And we all head out. We're like, all right, well, let's go check it out, And we see this huge black dog. And he's just sitting, he's laying there. It was a big black dog. And in this neighborhood, it's pretty ghetto neighborhood. You pretty much there's dogs that are running around, but it's not you guys know street dogs, right? Street dogs don't just chill. They're always moving. They're always moving. Somewhere. Yeah, always moving, always going somewhere.
Feral dogs?
Exactly.
Wild dogs. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, stray dogs are always moving. They're on a mission.
Even dogs that get out of their fence or something.
Yeah,
they're always
running.
exactly.
They're
always
going
trying to.
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. 2, 3 in the morning, this dude's just chilling, middle of the cul-de-sac, facing my house or my parents' house, wherever the fuck, just staring at us. And we're just like, what the fuck is going on? He didn't have glowing eyes or anything. Honestly, we couldn't even see his eyes. It was just a straight up jet black dog. Looked like a mastiff. Like it wasn't shaggy or anything. It was just a huge black dog. Never seen it. Usually, you know, the dogs in the neighborhood just because, you know, ghetto dogs, they run up to the fence and they're barking. You know your neighbor. You don't know your neighbors, but you know the annoying neighbors. Like, oh, those are the guys that have those damn dogs.
Well, you see them walking their dogs, so you've built up a
Not
mental
really.
kind of like
In the ghetto, you don't really see people walking dogs.
No,
they just, you know.
I guess you still build up a mental library of like
what dogs
these are the dogs that are in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
whether or not you match it to people, but
especially if you own dogs yourself, because you're like, okay, well, I don't want my dog, you know, getting fucked up or fucking up somebody else's dog, so I got to know whose dogs is whose. Never seen this dog in my life.
Chill. That dog not chill.
There's a lot of liability that comes with owning dogs,
Right.
in certain neighborhoods.
But my main point was that we've never seen this dog, right? We would know if we had seen this dog in the neighborhood. We hang out every Friday. Never seen this dog. Buddy lived in that house his whole life. The house that's 4 houses down from my parents' place. Never seen this dog. And so we're all sitting in my front yard, and there's a fence, so it's just, you know, dog down the street, and we're just like, okay, well, we don't know what's up with this dog. Let's all get in the car. I'll drive you down to your place. No big deal. And as my buddy opens the gate, the dog stands up. And we're just like, oh, the fuck is this about? And he kind of steps out, and the dog takes a step forward. And he's just like, okay. And he like kind of backs up, closes the gate. And the dog just kind of stands there. And we're just like, what the fuck is up with this dog? And I was like, you know what, dude? I don't know this dog. And he's obviously, you know, stirred up. Like he wouldn't be walking towards us if, you know, we weren't. Like he would just probably sit there and chill, or he would be walking away.
Right.
Like normal
off.
dog shit.
Yeah.
Right. And if it was an aggressive dog, he'd already be coming at you. Like he would already be at the fence, like, you know, looking at you or some shit. So I was like, you know what? Let's just kind of open the gate, run into my car, and we'll just ditch the dog. Like he's far enough away. He was probably about maybe 30 yards away. So there's plenty of time for us to kind of run and get in the car.
Then once you get in the car, what's he gonna do?
Exactly. So I was like, all right, on 3, we're just going to run to the car. It's 3 a.m. You're with a bunch of friends. You're kind of like, oh, fuck, what's going on?
Hyping
Exactly.
each other up a little bit.
Exactly. Like we weren't really thinking anything of it.
Go touch his butt. Go touch his butt. $5.
Right. So we open the gate, and we all, Buddy B runs out. And the second that he like breaks the plane of my fence, the dog
threshold.
Yeah, that threshold, the dog just jets towards us. And we're all like, oh, what the fuck? And we're all like,
chopper.
Yeah, like, oh, fuck, get in the car. And we all get in the car, and the dog disappears. Because we're all trying to open the door, jump in the car.
So none of you
and we're like, what the?
on
Yeah,
it.
none of us were really looking at it. We were just like, oh, fuck, get in. You know, I'm not trying to pay attention to this dog. I'm trying to get in the car. Dog disappears. And we're all like looking around like, where the fuck did this dog go? It was trippy. All right, so I start the car up. Turn the lights on, make a left to, you know, get on the main street. Dog's right in front of us. Right in the middle of the street, right in the middle of our headlights, looking at us, not moving. We're just like, what the fuck is going on right here?
It's a weird ass dog.
It's a weird dog, dude. Like he is messing with us. I'm like, what is going on? And so we just kind of sit there, and the dog just eventually walks away. I'm like, all right, cool. We can, you know, drive a few more houses down. We're keeping eyes on the dog. We're driving down, get about 2 houses down. Dog's back in the middle of the street looking at us. I can see him in the rearview mirror. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, keep driving. We're driving slow because I'm like, I don't want to hit this dog. You know, I know he's a trippy dog, but I don't want to hit him, obviously.
Well, so what if it's somebody's dog?
Exactly.
Whether or not he's acting weird.
Right. And it's also dark, too. So we finally get to my buddy's place, a couple houses down. The yards are a bit big. So when I say like, oh, it's 4 houses down, it's probably like maybe 100 yards.
Okay.
So I pull into my buddy's place. Dog is sitting in the middle of my friend's yard. So I pull into his driveway.
After you left it behind
we left it behind us. Pull into this driveway. Dog is sitting in that yard. And we're just like, what? My buddy's house is gated.
So somehow it got over
it got over the fence or in his yard. I mean, he doesn't have like the best fence in the world, but I mean, that's besides the point. It's still sitting at his place.
Of some kind, yeah.
We're just like, you know what, dude? Let me go drop, you know, Buddy C off, and then we'll come back. All right? Back up the car, go drop Buddy C off, come back. Nothing. That was it. Dog's gone. But that entire time, we were just like, what is going on? I don't, like, I didn't know what a black dog like or what it like symbolized. I just thought I was like, all right, so ghetto black dog won't leave us alone. You know?
Right.
So that's kind of my black dog story. Nothing free. The freakiest part was the fact that he sprinted towards us and like disappeared, reappeared multiple times. So it was pretty trippy. But yeah, not sure what the deal was. It was just a creepy 3 a.m. dog messing with this kind of thing. Not the best neighborhood. I mean, a lot of drive-bys, a lot of BS kind of all over the place. So I almost got stabbed in that neighborhood, but I was like kind of ignorant to things like that.
The way of the world.
Yeah. It's just kind of the way it is. Those buddies hooked me up and saved me possibly from some hobos stealing my Xbox and my backpack. But yeah, that's my black dog story, man.
That's creepy, dude.
Yeah, it was super creepy. Not super scary, but it's just like, what the hell, man? Like, what do I make of this? Nobody I could think of like died or anything. Like if it was like some kind of omen or something, right? Yeah, like my buddy's
warning.
Yeah, my buddy's dad had like cancer like 3 years later. So if that dog's trying to send an early message, I mean, maybe that.
Could it just been that going home at that time was bad?
Right.
There could have been like, I mean, depending on how you interpret the folklore, there could have been
guardian or something,
a murderer or something on the prowl, or like, somebody in the bushes ready to jump you or whatever.
Oh yeah. Or somebody, ready to jump my friend. So he's like, oh, I'm going to scare you into your car.
Was like, don't go.
Yeah.
So essentially the dog just, protect. And then, you drove your other buddy up the hill or whatever. It was a substantial distance. So that person was like, okay, well, the target of opportunity is gone, so I'll move on or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So it could have been guardian black dog. Don't know. The like I said, biggest part that tripped us out was the fact that it like dead sprinted towards us the second we like cleared the fence.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Tripped us the hell out.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. The wife remembers that story too.
Was she there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cray. That cray.
How about you guys? You got any little spooky?
I have a dog story that's pretty scary. I've had plenty of times where I've seen the black dog where it like jets across the road, and I'm like, oh my god, like it wakes me up.
Yeah, that's more like mine.
Yeah, but I have an actual like ghost dog story.
Ghost?
That's cool.
I was here in San Diego, and I went to the Whaley House. And the Whaley House, if you don't know, is one of like the top 10 most haunted locations in the United States.
This place is creepy, dude.
It is legit creepy. So they have it done up where it's like a museum, where each room you can walk into the room, but you walk into like a glass box,
right? Where
you can't actually enter the rooms.
Yeah, you enter a glass box that is in the room.
Yeah,
which is connected to the doorway.
Exactly. Yeah, and and there's like multiple levels to this house, and on the upper level there is
call it like a little jury stand or something.
Yeah, so in the front left, when you walk in, it's to the left. It's actually the old courthouse.
Right. Okay.
So it's a very large
that
courtroom.
Is creepy, dude.
Yeah, that one you can see a lot of orbs if you take photos, things like that. I chalk that up to just being a lot of dust, but believe what you believe. And I was very, very speculative. I mean, I've been there a bunch of times, never really seen much. I walked upstairs, and upstairs they actually have like a theater in like the back. Well, in the front portion of it, when you walk up the stairs, you can go to the left or the right. If you go to the left, there's bedrooms. So I went into one of the bedrooms, and I was standing in there, and I think it was like the kids' room. It was like the two, like little Timmy and little whoever, and it's cool. Like it's really interesting because it's like ancient, it's very old. And I was standing in this room, and a dog licked my hand, and I kid you not, dog licked my hand. Like, cannot tell me it didn't. Like it absolutely did. I felt its nose. I felt it lick the palm of my hand because it was at my side. I felt its breath. Like I heard it, like how they do that, like before they lick you,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I looked down and I was like, and there was no dog. Like I thought someone had like their seeing eye dog or something. Like, you know, like they just had like to me it was a golden retriever. Like in my head, that's what happened, and like you could not tell me different. I looked down, didn't see it. I stuck my head out of the room and I'm looking up and down the hallway, and some of the workers they're all dressed up, you know, in Old Town, you know, fair. Right. And there's a person standing up there. And I'm looking back and forth down the hall frantically, like looking. And the person goes, "Excuse me, sir, are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, did you see a dog around here?" And they're like, "Oh, were you in the kids' room?"
Like, motherfucker.
And I was like, yeah, and I was like,
answer me like
I know. And I was like, why? He goes, "Oh, did it lick your hand?" And I was like, "Dude, why? What, why? How do you know this?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's, you know, such and such, like the dog, like named a dog and said it was, there's a ghost dog around the premises, a golden retriever that if you're in the kids' room, it'll lick your hand." And I was like, "You have got to be kidding!" And like, dude, I'm not, you know, I mean, you know, I am not one to believe in the general, like, "Ooh, welcome to this haunted house."
It's some like little dude hiding in the wall,
right? Like, dude, bottle. Like, yeah, some little kid.
Like, he hits you with the sponge for the nose, right? Breathes on you, and then he sprays you with the bottle. He's just like,
"Gotcha,
mother."
Yeah, no, like, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if there was any doubt in my mind, then I would doubt it. But I've had plenty of dogs lick my hand. Yeah. And this was a golden retriever that licked my hand.
Wasn't a little dude.
Wasn't, no. Like, I get, like, we all know, anybody who's been around animals knows what that feels like. Yeah. Like, you can, like, I say a dog licked your hand, you know, exact sensation.
Yeah, I
you know? And 100%. I can't, and it absolutely did. And this was like the first ever me at a haunted house.
Oh yeah.
You know, being like, "Oh, this thing happened." Like, cause like I said too, like, you know, you could be in the courtroom taking pictures. There's orbs. "Oh my God, look at this orb." And I'm like, that is a dust ball. Like, relax. You know, camera. Exactly. Like your camera's shitty and you're in a dusty ass room.
You have a Razor phone, a Razor flip phone.
Yeah.
That thing is not taking the best.
Yeah. You got a Fujiyama, like disposable, you know what I mean? Like, so this was literally one of those times I was like, "Oh my God, like that actually happened." Like, damn. Holy crap, dude. Like, yeah, no, for sure. Like,
my Whaley house kind of thing isn't really too gnarly. My experience with the Whaley house, a lot of, I guess, school districts take you there as like a field trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I went there with my buddy, and I believe the first room on the right is a kid's room. Am I wrong?
Upstairs or downstairs?
Downstairs.
No. I think it's the kitchen or the living room is the
There's
first
one on the
right.
There's a room with dolls in it.
That's the upstairs.
So that's upstairs. We passed that room, or I went in there. I looked in there and I was like, okay, creepy room, dolls, whatever. I'm not really seeing anything. I walk out. My buddy walks in, and I'm like waiting for him. I'm like, "Oh, you know, let me go check out. I want to go check out the other stuff. Wait for my buddy." And then he turns around and he's just pale, like, "Just saw a ghost." And I'm like, "Dude, what? Are you all right?" And he's like, "That fucking doll just looked to the left, like its head just turned." And I was like, "I'm ready to get the fuck out of here."
You're all sounds good, man. Let's leave.
100%.
Cool story, bro. I'm gone.
Yeah. I mean,
well, and also too, like, this was not my first time at the Whaley house.
Oh, that was my first time.
Yeah, no, see, like, this one was not my first rodeo. Like, I'd been to the Whaley house hundreds of times. Like, never had anything happen.
Yeah.
And this just
this is the one that
this was literally the last time I went. Yeah.
You're like, the last time and never.
No, I've not gone back. I'm like, no, I've been wanting to, but you know,
we should make a trip, take pictures of dust balls and whatnot.
That's literally what's there.
Dust balls.
So our guest has to have a creepy story.
All right. So I guess since we were talking about the Whaley house, I guess I'll tell my story of when I went down there quite a few years ago. So we got there too late. So we wanted to do the little tour thing that they do. So we got there too late. We missed the last tour. And so we're like, well, let's go ahead and like go and walk around. You know how they have like the yard on the side, and then they actually have like a security like trailer in the very back, but then they have like this little shed, and then they have that big ass tree.
That's
Oh yeah.
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 Okay.
Big ass tree.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the hanging tree.
Yeah.
And then, like right after that is where, or right around there is where the street starts to have the little medallions in the road because they didn't move the cemetery.
Yeah. So we're in that yard, and I'm already getting kind of like super.
Oh yeah, every
like,
time you go
the
there, you get like the willies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my
That's the
friend
little guy
like
that hides in the wall that comes out and
Yeah,
licks you.
that's the technical
His name's Willie.
His name's Willie. That's the guy that
Dude.
he comes out of the wall, licks your hand.
That's that golden retriever.
So my friend bolts to the back because she wants to go be crazy, I guess. And I start walking, and I'm just getting this really weird like feeling. And the little like garage thing that's behind the Whaley house, and like I don't know, I could feel somebody watching me the entire time, and I was just like, hey friend, I'm really uncomfortable, like what's going on? And all of a sudden I turn around and I just see kind of like a glimpse on the tree, and I was like, all right, we're going. But that's when I had found out, because I didn't really know about the Whaley house.
Right.
But that's when I had found out that every once in a while you can actually see somebody hanging from the tree.
Get the fuck out, really?
Yeah, and so I think what it was when I walked back, the person who like was watching me, I don't know if they were saying that sometimes you can find like people who would actually hang people at this tree. You know, you can kind of get a glimpse of them being watching the hanging.
So not only the person that was hung, but like the residual of the people who did the hanging.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like when I walked back there, I was
Freaked out.
just like, ooh. So I turned around, and that's when I saw this swinging, and I was just like, all right, I'm done. Like, no thanks. And so my friend was like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, kind of. So we walked, and that's where we went to the cemetery, and I just instantly like got out of the car.
Let's go to the more haunted place.
Right.
I'm creeped out.
Yeah.
Let's go to the more haunted place.
So we walked over to the cemetery, and I got out of the car, and I just got this really, really bad feeling. And like my friend was like, do you want to go in? And I was like, something's telling me not to. So I'm going to sit this one out, guys. Like, I don't know. And she ended up walking in, and she immediately turned around and was like, yeah, no, there's something evil in there. We can't do that. Like, we're going to go. And I was like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. But that was my...
Fuck out.
Yeah, but that was my creepy, like Whaley House, Old Town Cemetery. Like that whole area is just creepy, but
It really
it's
is.
cool.
It's very like it's a cool atmosphere, but it is creepy.
Yeah, it's not a place that you feel like you want to be around at night.
Yeah.
So talking about like creepy places that like give you that kind of like vibe, like you're like, no, something bad like has happened here, and like you can feel it.
Yeah.
I was in Germany, and I went to Dachau, which was a concentration camp.
Oh boy.
And like,
I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
Dude, I've never felt this anywhere but there, but it's like you can hear it. Like it changes the way sound is.
Yeah, I've heard people
Like being within the fence of the concentration camp.
It's almost like
you can
we've
just
played
tell.
What's the game called? God damn, what the hell is the game called? We play it with Ick all the time. Or we did.
Phasmophobia?
Yeah, Phasmophobia. Like when you break the plane of the house.
Yeah, and it
goes from,
gets that
your
like weird creepy sound, and everything gets that like silent, like muffled.
Almost, yeah, it's like muffled. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard people, you know, I've got some friends that have been to Auschwitz, and they've said the same thing.
Yeah,
Like
you
there's
can
just
feel
like
it,
a
you can hear it.
dampening on the area.
It's just heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And
a pressure.
There's a theory behind, you know, depending on how deep into the lore of ghosts and all that you get, there's several different types of hauntings. And one of the types of hauntings is called a residual haunting. And it's like it's not
It's a place.
Yeah, it's the place. It's like a photo. Like think of it like a photograph. Somebody took a photograph of this place during what was happening, and then that just residual weight
is just
hangs there. It's not necessarily a ghost. It's the place itself.
It's the energy.
That's energy is fucked up and haunted.
Yeah, and I feel like certain places will just always be
I mean, that's how it feels like when I was at the Whaley house. I didn't mention it, but I was going to mention it, but like I didn't feel a pressure until I went inside of the courthouse. Like I didn't feel anything when I walked inside the house. I didn't feel anything when my buddy was like, that doll's head just moving. I'm like, you're fucking dumb. Like I'm still like kind of freaked, but let's finish it out. And by the time I walked into the courtroom, I was like, I don't like this place. We need to go.
Well, and that's something to be said too about the Whaley house. Like when you look at it, like, you know, for those who haven't ever seen it, it's just a big white building on the side of a popular street next to a restaurant.
I was going to say, I've eaten at the restaurant, like a building next to it.
Yeah, like it doesn't, like when you look at it, you're like, there's scarier places in Old Town than that. Like scarier looking. Like, dude, the old barn, the blacksmith barn.
Oh my God.
That's scarier looking.
It's freaky as shit. But I've never heard anybody having a weird experience.
Right. No, exactly. There's nothing wrong. Like the blacksmith barn is actually really cool. It's a little museum. But that's scarier looking than the Whaley house. But when you go inside of the Whaley house, you're like, there's a lot of death here. Like there's a lot of something here.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, I mean, Kevin talking about the freaking concentration camp, like the fact that like I like even just like hearing about it, I was like, dude, I can't even imagine that like how low like gravity there is different. You know what I mean? Like it is heavy. Like my buddy went to Auschwitz and he said like within 5 minutes of being like on the grounds, like he was literally in tears.
Like you feel just like depressed.
Yeah. And he was like, and I don't know, like he's like, it wasn't, nothing triggered it. He was just like, it just, the air felt thick.
Yeah.
I think like our psyches understand too, just the amount of trauma and horror that happened there. And then you're standing there. So like just your empathy and your connection to humanity in total just brings emotion out of you. I imagine it's some of it. But like I've heard people,
could be that,
I've heard people say it smells like ash is in the air and it's, you know, a normal day, or they've walked onto the grounds and it gets dark, like clouds just went over the sun. Like there's something that is triggering reactions in whatever metaphysical existence our brains share.
Now, here's a really interesting thought, right? We're talking about, you know, like various spirits, things like that, like running, you know, but bringing it back to the black dog, right?
Right.
Now, I have been in situations where I'm in the woods, like, you know, we're all, I mean, most of us here are pretty average, like outdoorsmen, like probably except for Mark, because he loves his couch and television.
There's a reason I love that.
It's because of all
I don't want to do it anymore.
So
it's all the black dogs that hang out when he goes outside.
The thing I want to compare it to, right, is we've talked about, you know, places like a concentration camp, places like a haunted house, right? Now those things, like as we said, have like the air is heavy, like the feeling of being there is heavy. Yeah, the pressure. Now I felt that in the middle of nowhere, right? Not connected to anything, not like my senses were immediately heightened.
Yeah,
you know, like I was out in the woods up in Escondido, right? And I was out there doing a check, like a perimeter check on this property. And I'm fairly certain I was being tracked by a mountain lion, right? Because I could hear it. I could hear it moving. I could hear it breathing. I knew it was around me, but I didn't know where. You know what I mean? So
you
like
never saw it.
I never saw it. Yeah, exactly. It was dark. Yeah, it was like 2 in the morning.
Were you like in the Elfin Forest-ish area?
No, I was up in Lake Wolford.
Oh, okay.
Right. Which is very, you know, mountain lions are there.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was like, hey, it's not far. And I was literally walking this trail and I was like, okay, this is not alarming to believe that this could be a mountain lion. Because at first I was like, maybe a coyote. But it was,
you would do that.
And a coyote wouldn't do. Well, I mean, I've been chased
not
by
alone.
Coyotes will follow you.
Yeah, and I've been followed by them, but not alone.
But it'll always be like because they travel in packs.
Yeah. So I just remember like it wasn't, and that was the weirdest thing is I wasn't scared. Like I wasn't like, oh my God. I was more like something's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you were being hunted.
Well, and see, now that's the thing, right? Like in my head, I was like, okay, this could be a mountain lion. But I was also like, this could also also just be my imagination. Maybe I'm imagining this, right? But I was on this like super heightened, like very heavy, like something is wrong.
Something triggered your fight or flight.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, okay,
and I didn't flee. I didn't run off into nowhere. I covered the back of my neck because that's a mountain lion will jump on the back of you. You know, I remembered that from the scouts. But, you know, I was like, okay, cover the back of my neck, have my flashlight in front of me, big, heavy steps. Let's go. We're walking back now. And I just remember hearing this thing all the way back to camp. Right. And I still don't know. You know, might have been a mountain lion, might have been some old hobo. Yeah, exactly. But I just remember that feeling I had was the same feeling as like walking into like a haunted house.
Right.
You know, where I was like, what is this?
Some
like
instinctual.
There's like almost like a
foreboding.
sixth sense that's like feels there. It's just off.
Right.
It's like there's something different about this situation than your normal situation.
Right. So then that is my real kind of like connection I'm trying to make here is that, you know, we're talking about like spiritual realms and we're talking about like ghosts and things like that. But then I'm also talking about like literally being like my life might be in danger because I'm being hunted by a predator.
Right.
Right. Now you compare the two and those feelings being the same. That's fucking scary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Where that feels the same. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing.
The same?
Is it the same? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, is this like
well,
this?
I mean, I think so. Cause I mean, think about like when you were seeing something in the middle of the night and you were like, I'm going to go punch that thing.
Oh, the fucking, the lady.
Yeah. Cause I've had that same exact feeling and that's fight or flight. It's not the same pressure. Like it's not the same atmosphere.
The heavy atmosphere. I think that's just a contributing factor, but it's the same feeling of like, do I need to punch that thing?
Well,
or
see,
am I going to run?
Yeah, but see, that's the thing is like, that wasn't how I was feeling about this like mountain lion.
You were like on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, even still like that
there's
dog
certain
in the house,
things,
like,
there's certain things we react to differently. Like generally speaking, as somebody who also has an increased aggressive response when it comes to fight or flight.
Yeah, me too.
When I am put into a situation where the thing causing the triggering is an animal, is something that I can't, like, I'm going to be perfectly honest. My brain can do the mental gymnastics to be like, oh no, that's a fucking 400-pound cat. I'm dead. I'm not going to win. I'm not going to be able to face down an entire fucking first line defense of the Packers. I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to get trampled. That is not a fight you can win.
Right.
And your brain will just tell you, like, calmly walk out of the situation. That's all you can do. Calmly back away.
Yeah. So then the question then is, when we're in these locations, you know, feeling these things, has our brain already made the decision that there's nothing that we can do? Like, has our brain already gone to that point where it's like, hey, you're dealing with shit you can't fucking handle.
Yep.
You need to leave.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and if that's the case, like that to me, that to me is terrifying that my brain is making this.
Well, I mean, that's when people like, you know, freeze up or collapse or shit like that. Like that's part of the fight or flight. Brain
just going like, and we're done.
Yeah, exactly. That's the flight. I'll play dead.
It's that.
Yeah.
It's that Windows 10 noise when it when it fucks up and gives you the blue screen.
Yeah.
It's your brain doing that.
Well, when it comes to like spirits, the reason why you get that feeling is because they attach themselves to your different feelings, and usually adrenaline or fear is one of our strongest emotions, and so that's what they kind of attach onto, and that's where you get that feeling, is because they're trying to like communicate,
feed
but
off
like
that energy.
Yeah, that they're very much about energies and
Yeah.
so.
I mean, also it would kind of make sense, you know, if a haunting is probably brought on by a traumatic experience,
right,
and therefore that would be the emotion that said spirit was kind of feeling it at their last moments.
Yeah.
And so that's the easiest one for them to then
attach themselves
right,
to.
right, and so people who are empaths, they're more of a target because us empaths
More easily susceptible to it.
we can feel feelings with just being in a room of people. Like you can feel everybody's like energies and stuff, and so same thing with spirits. They latch on to the empaths because we can express those feelings. Yeah.
So their idea of ringing a doorbell is like poking our adrenaline or poking our fear.
Ding dong.
Yeah, they're all
Their idea of sending an email is just
Just poking my fucking adrenaline sack.
Medulla oblongata.
Medulla oblongata.
Have you had more experiences that fall into like the supernatural level of the paranormal than you have experiences with like cryptids or other energies? Because there's a whole theory that a lot of this phenomenon is actually like either our unconscious being essentially cloud networked together. We're all one conscious being at a certain level with just like different whatever interpretations or expressions upon the natural world.
I really enjoy entertaining the unified conscious theories a little bit.
It's an interesting, it's definitely cool to think about. Or that like there's a level of existence of dimensional beings that we are sharing this world with or this planet with, but just not on the same plane. So every once in a while, the dimensions like rub up against each other, and depending on where you are or depending on how you see it, like especially if you look at folklore over a given amount of time, back in the day, people saw ghosts and loved ones and demons and stuff like that a lot more often. And then we kind of entered this area where people saw aliens more often. Mm-hmm. And now we're kind of crossing into this new realm where people are starting to see because it sounds like you've got a lot of experiences with paranormal-ish stuff.
Yeah. So I'm actually though I'm going to sound crazy right now, but so I'm actually really close to like the supernatural spirits world. I don't know how to handle it and I don't know where to start. So I've actually put up protection like spells and all of that and set my boundaries to let them know that like, hey, if you want to talk to me, like it's cool. I just need to be like mentally prepared for it and I'll let you know when I'm ready. But yeah,
my sister-in-law is really sensitive. It was like brujeria, that kind of.
Oh yeah, the bruja or brujo, whatever.
Yeah, she's talked to me a lot about it, and like she has a few stories. Maybe eventually we'll have her guest on here too. But she's very sensitive. So my actual sister, my oldest sister, she's very sensitive to that stuff. So I have a fine appreciation for it because I would like to understand it. I honestly just personally want to experience it. I've only experienced like things like the kind of like the cryptids, I guess.
I mean, you've shared experiences that are a little bit more on the ghost side.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not like, I'm not like, oh, I'm 100% sold I saw a freaking ghost. Like I'm not at that point. Like I've had stories where like my brother was like, yeah, did you, I mean, he can tell a story too, but like, oh, did you come in the room last night? At my wife's old house. Like, oh, did you come in the room last night? I'm like, no. He's like, you came in the room and you shook me and you woke me up and you were calling my name. And I was like, nah, dude, I never went in the room. It's like, well, somebody went in the room and like woke me up in the middle of the night, shaking me, saying my name.
Right.
It's like, wasn't me, bro. I'm sorry.
Dude, no, I have scared the shit out of my brother. When I'm sick, when I was young and I was sick, I would sleepwalk.
Oh yeah, dude.
No. So get
That's
this, right?
Creepy.
So we had a 2-story house, right? But it was like a 1.5, like where you like the balcony. There's like a balcony inside.
Okay, like a little mezzanine.
Yeah. So it's 1 a.m. and my brother is upstairs. My bedroom was downstairs. My brother's upstairs, like TV. He's watching TV in the living room, and then because it was like a big room, and then it was like 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. So the bedroom is a bathroom. Literally, that hallway is like 4 foot. It's big enough for the doors. So he's in and out of his bathroom. He comes out to look at the TV, and I'm standing at the top of the stairs.
Oh, fuck that, bro.
And my eyes are in the back of my head, like I'm asleep. Like, but my eyes are open. Yeah. But they're not there.
You're knocked the fuck out.
Damn. And I was standing there and I was like, hey, and I like, my brother was like, whoa, he's like, are you okay? And apparently I have no memory of any of this. Apparently I looked at him and I was like, everything's fine. And I walked over and I sat on the couch. I turned the television to static and I said, don't worry, they're coming. and then I passed out. Like my
I was 100%. I'm like, there's gonna be a static part in there.
Yeah, no, like literally, like, and like that was the thing was like,
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
that was the thing was I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, poltergeist, like,
Right,
but
yeah.
like I literally turned the television to static,
Yeah.
and I went, don't worry, they're coming, and then my head slumped back onto the couch. I woke up to him shaking the shit out of me, being like, who's coming? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, what's happening?
If you
Like,
keep shaking me.
yeah, no, like
Tom is like, the British are, oh shit. No, wait. Sorry.
that's my
Wait.
that's my go-to.
Who's coming? The British. Bro.
Listen, I'm telling you right now that if you stand up at the top of the stairs with your eyes behind your head, I'm leaving.
I was about to say, I'm
gonna
pushing
drop
your ass
you down the fucking stairs, bro.
You're either waking up right then and there, or you're not waking up after that. But
So-
either way, it's cool.
Static-
Problem solved.
I don't sleepwalk anymore, but
Yeah.
but that was like I was sick, and that was like the thing that I did, you know.
Yeah,
like,
my brother, he didn't really sleepwalk. He actually still does this. He sleep talks a lot.
Oh my God.
I do
He
that.
says
Yep.
he says a lot of creepy stuff.
I just found that out that I do that recently.
My fiance doesn't say creepy shit, but she will literally plan an activity with me. And then the next morning I'll be like, all right, she'll be like, what are you talking about? And it's not as prevalent anymore because I've learned to identify when she's at that place.
Mm.
And now I just let her talk. She doesn't do it that often anymore. She used to do it a lot, but
And then you stop listening.
I just know that she's asleep. I know that it is late enough in the evening and she is close enough to being asleep that the subject being discussed is not going to be remembered.
So we're not going to Disneyland today?
Yeah.
Sad day. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, Beast likes to giggle in his sleep,
Oh,
and
hell
it's
no.
terrifying.
Hell no.
Yeah, just like that.
A grown ass man should not be giggling
Like high
that.
pitch giggling? Like
No, it's a giggle, and it's like a low pitch, but it's definitely like a
oh,
like,
dude, if I heard that
yeah.
shit in the middle of the night, I'd kick you in the fucking face, dude. Hail to the nah.
Fucking stories, man.
To the nah. I ain't playing this, dude.
I had no idea that I did it.
So Kevin, you said you got a black dog story for
A
us?
little bit of one. So I back in the days, I hit up this girl late at night. I was like, "Hey, you want to get some tacos?"
Is that code for something?
Because that's what you do. You
It's
don't get
code
back-
for tacos, I think.
Well, okay, so
I
had met this girl at a party,
Okay.
but we hadn't hung out after this party. We only hung out at that party
Okay.
all night at that party. If you get what I'm saying.
Do I know who this is? I know
No,
who this is.
you don't know who this is.
It's like I think I know who this is.
No, you don't know who this is. But anyway, so I picked her up for some tacos, and we got some tacos, and then afterwards, I was like, well, what should we do now? She's like, we can just go drive around or whatever. And I was like, cool, I know some back roads.
Like whatever. What's that option?
I mean, what do you think it is?
Not driving around the back roads. Is that what you
Somebody got some
or is that
tacos
leading up
with
to the
some
or
extra
whatever?
salsa.
a lot of times driving around the back roads is looking for a place to neck, which is looking for a place to
Exactly.
You say neck?
neck.
Neck?
You never heard of necking?
No. I've heard of necking, but it's like
So, like,
slapping somebody in the back of the neck.
No, like
No.
That's what he was doing.
All right.
with
slapping the
with
shit out of him.
with this cock.
You find a place.
We were looking for a place to bang.
Yeah, you find a
did you say
you
that,
find
Kevin?
a place.
I wanted to try to pretend that I was a gentleman.
You find a place
round of
creepy. You find a place creepy, romantic, and then you start making out,
And then you hear scratching on the top
Slap
of
her
your
on the
roof.
back of the neck.
Yeah, you hear scratching.
But
on the top of
anyways,
your roof.
so,
You
like,
check
you know,
it out, and then you disappear, and
we
then
were.
she gets out, and you
know what you did last summer.
Anyway, so we actually it's near here.
I don't want to hear that. Kevin. I don't want to hear that you banged in the forest behind my place.
It's that way, a couple miles. But
Is it on that windy ass road?
Duluth?
Fuck that lane. No, that windy
let's
ass
not
road
talk
you gotta
about
take to the
roads where I
15.
live.
Fuck that shit.
Not this little one right here.
Oh my god.
No, not this little one.
I
The
see
Duluth
weird
one.
shit
Way out there.
every single time I leave your house.
Oh,
every
yeah.
single
Really?
Friday,
Anyways, hold on.
going from the house to the
You are
15.
baby.
I've got my story here.
I said weird shit. I didn't say
So-
creepy shit.
So, we go out, we're doing our thing. Then, we finish up. All right, I got to pee. And I go out to pee. I walk a little ways away from the car and I'm peeing, and I'm just
I wouldn't. It's
right
dark,
out.
right?
It's pretty dark.
I'm peeing right at the door.
Yeah, I'm peeing on my car, dude.
No, and like I'm not like super afraid of the dark or anything, and like there hadn't been anything weird
I'm
happening.
afraid of the
so
dark
far.
either, but I'm not trying to go out in the middle of it.
And so like, well, I only a couple steps away from
Mark
the car,
really
but
does
far
like
enough
his
away to
couch
like
and
be
TV.
Respectful of the fact that there's a lady present.
I mean,
You just banged in
I was
a
gonna
car.
say, I mean, you just
There are shreds of dignity left.
Okay. So you're trying to pee in the forest.
peeing too close
Got
to her.
you. Got you.
Not-
We hadn't crossed that line.
Trudging on her dignity.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So, yeah, I walked a little ways from the car, maybe 10, 15, 20 feet tops.
Fuck
And
that.
I'm peeing out on kind of like this barbed wire fence and bushes and shit that are just out in the middle of nowhere, And right
Dude, there's
kind of at
snakes and shit.
Not
Bite
afraid
you
of that.
right in the dick, bro.
Not afraid of that.
You're not afraid you can bend the dick?
Not by a snake.
I didn't know the wildlife up in here, man. Like I've had
so
that on the
Tom,
family.
literally had a snake like over.
Well, hold on. You also have to remember that I was in Boy Scouts for like years and years and years.
I've
so like
had
waking
it.
up in the middle of the night, walking 20 feet into the bushes and taking a leak is just
It's normal.
for me.
It's
It's
second
normal.
nature.
It's just second nature. Like I don't have to even think about that. Like it's
Ah.
autopilot at this point.
I mean, you gotta, but I mean, like, if you go down, she's not coming out for you, bro. She's not gonna come check. She's like, oh, he's down. I'm
She's
out.
like, I already went down. I ain't going down again.
Anyways, all right.
So you go out to pee in
I
the
go out
woods.
to pee, and it's not a bright night out, but it's not a dark night out. But
Okay.
it's more on the darker side. But
Okay.
it's not like full.
Can you
bank
make
blanket of
out like
clouds.
shrubbery and shit on the floor?
I can see shrubbery and shit, but like,
Shrubbery.
Shrubbery.
but no detail. And because it's super dark, super late at night, like everything's kind of black and white. You know how it gets
Yeah.
when it's like that late at night.
yeah, I feel it.
And so, and I'm looking at, dude, at the edges of my vision, I swear there were these fucking like black, like dog size, like shadows. And at first I was like, oh, it's just a shadow of a bush or something. But I swear to God, it was slowly getting closer. And like, I couldn't quite hear things, but I could almost.
You proud of yourself going 20 feet out from your car now?
Oh, I fucking pinched it off, got back in the car. I
Yeah?
was like, all right.
Oh, dude, I would have been
I
peeing
think
on the
there's
way back
animals
to my
out
car, dude. Are you kidding me? I would have been peeing on that dog, like, back up. Man, back up.
Marky's
I'm
like,
armed,
establish
bro."
dominance, establish dominance.
You pee on it.
I have done that before, though, actually. But that's a different story.
You
I'll
know,
get to that
you
in
peed
a
on a
second.
dog, dude?
It wasn't a dog, it was a goose.
Establish dominance. Establish dominance. And the goose is like, peace.
Well, let me-
was never an option.
let me wrap this one up. So I get back in the car and she's like, yeah, I don't know, but it looks like there's shadows out there too. So she saw it also. And we just fucking get in the car and drove back. I haven't parked it.
yeah.
I haven't gone up that road since.
I'm not trying to play with that, dude. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, not down.
Oh my god.
And that was-
where is this?
Deleuze.
All right, so
So if you go to Fallbrook
right,
and you go out the backside of Fallbrook
okay,
and you just go up that windy ass road that just goes out in the middle of nowhere and eventually dumps you out like in like the southwestish side of Temecula, kind of
Okay.
like
Yeah, yeah.
15.
okay.
It's out there.
Okay.
I ain't trying to go there. I'm just saying.
No.
I
You're
want to
like,
know
how not
where.
to-
Marky wants to know where to mark on the map not to go.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't play
Anyway,
that,
so
dude.
it was out there, but the goose story is actually quite funny, and assert your dominance is literally like what ran through my head.
That's a goose.
So-
a goose is never
It
going to
wasn't a
pick
dog, it was
peace.
a goose.
A goose is never going to pick peace ever. Just piss on
to-
it.
I guess we can lighten the mood with this story because it's actually really funny. So I was hammered at Vegas Fair.
You pissed on that goose? No wonder why that bastard's so mad all the time.
I like how I
geese
said
are
it.
just
You guys
mad
know
all the
there's like a
time.
pack of geese that I'm
Yeah,
talking
I know exactly.
So-
Dude, I pet that goose.
about. Well, yeah, I wouldn't pet it anymore.
He's like, it's my
anyways,
goose now.
Kevin's like 15 years ago. Tom's like, God damn it. That means at least 14 times.
Anyway, so I was pretty trashed, right? And I met up with these guys and we were drinking at their camp. You do. For people who don't know what Renaissance fairs are like after hours, basically
We drink
it's
a lot.
drunk hobo parties. You just migrate from campfire to campfire and drink whatever they're handing out. Anyways, fast forward a little bit. I
Like
gotta
Wasteland.
pee. There's a lake, do the math. So I just turn around. I'm like, I'm gonna take a pee in the lake. Everybody's like, cool.
What a
I turn
fool
around.
believes.
I'm peeing in
He's
this
like the
lake.
only person in the world that I know that's like, lake. that equals giant toilet.
Well,
Most
I
people
wouldn't
are
even
like
call it a
ocean.
I wouldn't even call that a lake. That's more
That
of a
equals
pond.
giant
It's a
toilet.
pond.
Okay.
but anyways, you know, when you're drunk and it's like
Yeah.
midnight, you know, that lake's as good as any place to pee. And so I'm just like taking a leak, you know, looking at the stars, like whatever, chilling.
I'd be staring at that fucking water, dude. Kevin,
Dude, it was dark.
Kevin,
It was
you
late
were
at
a
night.
Boy Scout and you're over here pissing in the lake, not even staring at where you're pissing.
Kevin is the final girl.
Walking out
It's fine.
But
In the horror movie
This
of our
pond is like
life,
3
Kevin
foot
is the
deep,
final
but there ain't
girl.
nothing hiding in there.
it's not like there's any
crocodiles and shit?
alligators or bullshit
Okay.
like
Yeah,
that in here. And at this point of the night, I figure, all right, all like the geese are like asleep and
You got
shit,
the
right?
fucking chupa thingy out there.
Chupa thingy.
Yeah.
But so I'm and I'm looking at the
Don't need
stars.
sound effects.
And then
Gotcha.
so
The hand gesture was it?
Yeah,
It
don't.
was a sound effect that you drew the line at.
so you know, letting it go, and like I had to pee, so it's coming out. And all of a sudden I hear this
Blood
Fucking,
pressure immediately goes through the roof.
dude, my heart skipped a fucking beat. And
You're like-
immediately my brain was like, assert dominance. I didn't know what else to do but fucking pee on it. I was already holding my junk like aim. All I gotta do is a couple inches to the right.
Literally, Kevin's brain. Literally, Kevin's brain is like, this is scarier than when I was peeing in the middle of the field, getting creeped up on by black dogs.
This is what I was saying. Like you kind of stare where you take a leak, right?
Oh yeah,
No, I was staring at the sky, looking at the stars.
It
and
is
shit.
imperative. I've been to. We found a giant fucking turtle, and we took it back to a golf course. You know, golf course. They got these big lakes and
Piss
stuff.
himself?
No, so my buddy is keeping an eye out, and I am making my way through the reeds to get over to where I could like launch this turtle. Right, it's a big fucking turtle.
Is that what you
This
call
turtle.
taking a dump in the middle of the woods?
No. I
Launching a turtle.
no,
or something?
literally putting this big dude. This turtle was literally like bigger than a dinner plate. Like it was a big fucking turtle, and I was like, you know, the water has those like it's a man-made little pond.
He's about to throw a tortoise in the pot.
Yeah, exactly.
I was
right,
about to say, you're
exactly.
gonna
Yeah.
fucking throw this tortoise, it's gonna fucking sink and
Right.
drown.
No, it
I
was
was
a,
like, let me finish my story.
it was a red belly slider.
Okay,
all right,
okay.
I knew what it was. The red belly slider. And the thing was that the pond was man-made, so there were big old like concrete steps into the water. And I didn't want to. I mean, it was night. This thing was huge. I didn't want to just like bloop and like clack, clack, clack down the like stairs. So I was like, all right, I got to make my way through the reeds where it was like to the dirt. So I'm going through there. My buddy is like keeping an eye out. Well, my buddy says, this is what he hears, right? He hears rustling. He hears a splash, and then he hears this noise, right? That he has no idea what it is. The closest thing he can resemble it to is if someone had stood on a horn while simultaneously smacking someone in the face, right? So apparently it went, right? And I come falling out of the bushes, and he goes, "What the hell was that?" I said, "I stepped on a duck. We gotta go, because I fucking waffle stomped this duck into the dirt,
All the way under the
all the way
water.
into the water."
Plowed into the mud at the bottom of the
Yep. No idea what happened
poor
to the
duck.
And like from around the pond, you just start hearing ducks making it. You're like, we gotta go right now. This is bad.
Because I was trying to make my way through the reeds, and I guess there was a sleeping duck that I just waffle stomped into.
Oh
That
my
duck
God,
was just
man.
minding his own fucking business, probably full well asleep, and you just goose stepped him into infinity.
Like I was like, what was the clap? And I think the clap was when I
going
stomped it
underwater?
into the water, and the vacuum of the water slapped behind it.
Oh man.
But wrapping up the end of mine, because the funny sound is what like really got me about this and what made it hilarious. So you know, like the big like broadleaf like tropical plants.
Yeah.
You know when you water them and it's like
Yeah.
that's the sound a goose makes when you pee on it.
That's good to know. If I'm ever accidentally
Like-
peeing and I don't know where it's going and I hear
It's not the sound a duck makes when you step on it.
It's just that's the closest thing, and I guess it's because their bones are hollow. Because
Yeah,
birds
'cause
are
they're
bird bones
right.
are hollow,
So it's the
and then they have the feathers, and it's like dispersing the water,
Resonating,
and so it's
yeah.
like resonating through the like hollowness.
Oh, Kevin, finding harmonics through urinating on a
And
goose.
so it's like honk, and all I can think of is just like step back and keep firing.
Sir, we're running low on ammunition. I don't fucking care if I'm more. Keep firing.
All I can picture is this goose just like chilling, seeing Kevin being like, yo. And then ow.
Hey, what's up, Blaine? You taking a piss? Oh, man!
What's going on, Playboy?
What are you doing?
I mean, if the goose wanted to be chill, that's cool, but don't jump and fucking surprise me like that,
come
man.
after you?
It didn't jump out of the water at me because I don't know. You've never been there, right?
Nah.
So the lake has these like basically two masonry stones, like two cinder blocks high, like surrounding the water level. So I was 2 cinder blocks high, standing on the edge of that like lake, and the thing like swam up like below my field of vision, like under my arc.
I got
Like was swimming along the wall,
and then was like
Before it honked.
and then it fucking ambushed me, man.
Just wanted to know what the sports stats was. Hey, did you catch Sports Center? Why are you peeing on me?
Right?
When the reeds start speaking Goosenese.
So I mentioned like every time I drive out to the 15, weird shit's happening, and you were immediately like, well, don't be a scaredy cat.
Yeah, don't be a baby about it.
So here's the thing. Like, it's never been scary. It's always just been weird. Like last time, there were fucking tumbleweeds everywhere.
Dude, I saw that too a couple weeks
they're
ago
out
on the
here,
way
dude.
out of
At
here. I
like
saw one
12:30
too.
at night. I'm like,
They're
what the
here.
fuck are these tumbleweeds doing?
I
Just
saw one
chilling
crossing
on the
the
road.
freeway.
You live in the desert, bro.
I know. But I'm not used to just seeing tumbleweeds, like just chilling, like keeping pace with my car.
all
I'm
this
like,
grass
what
doing
the,
here?
what the fuck is this tumbleweed doing?
Guards
you
would
trying-
shoot las guns.
Are you trying to fucking match speed with my car? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they're out here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not too crazy.
I usually
They
don't.
surprise the hell out of you when
I
they're big,
usually don't
Oh,
see them this late in the season, though.
Yeah, I feel it.
And like, not at night and not following you on the road.
Yeah. I've had
The other
that
weird
with
thing was the fucking owl that paced my car for like 2 turns
Oh,
a couple of times
there's
ago.
usually
That's
bats
weird.
too.
Yeah.
I've seen owls when I'm coming out of here.
A lot of bats,
I
a lot of owls.
legitimately thought that the owl flew up and landed on my roof rack and just held on. Like I was like, are you just holding on to my roof? And then it like went off a different direction. I'm like, all right.
He was flying. He's flying, Ryan. Look at me.
Fucking weird, brother.
Who are you?
Who are you?
What's this Subaru?
Did you have any other stories that you wanted to share with us?
Before we have Kevin jump into his spooky tale about corn.
Yeah, because we only have so many spooky stories. So, I mean, if you got any, feel free. Feel free to enlighten us in the...
Or some comical spook.
Or we can have you come
Goose
back.
snuck up on me.
Or me stepping on a duck.
We can definitely keep.
Get out here and step on a duck.
Was it the same lake?
No.
No, different lake? Okay.
That was in Chula Vista.
I have one that's kind of creepy, but it's like a sentimental creepy, I guess. So
Sorry, we share everything here.
yeah, so
It's a safe place.
the house that I
Really.
used to live at a few years ago, when you walked in, the living room was right when you walked in, and then there was like a long hallway that led to all the bedrooms and the bathrooms. And every time I would walk home, or I would walk through the front door, I would get to the hallway and I knew that there was someone standing at the end of the hallway.
Nah.
And
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan.
so at first it scared me because I don't know who it is.
It was
Like
John Cena.
I was about to say,
Yeah,
you're
no,
not a fan,
yeah.
but you keep a fucking giant ass John Cena cut out.
Yeah, but I know he's there to protect me.
He's there.
So after living there for like a couple of months, I just got to a point where I was like, okay, thank you for watching the house while we're gone, but I'm home. I'm good. And then it would disappear.
Go away now.
Yeah, no, basically. And so I was like, we're good. Like, I'm home. Thank you for watching the house while we're gone. And same friend that I went down to the Whaley house with, she came over. So I was kind of talking to her because she's training to be like a shaman and does like QHHT stuff. So
Can you share what QHHT is?
past life regressions, she can basically go into your subconscious and
Quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so like
Interesting.
hypnosis stuff, huh?
Yeah.
That
yeah.
stuff always intrigued me, like hypnosis, like just. I mean, you know, you see it at like the Del Mar Fair and stuff like that, and I'm like, that shit is fake as fuck. I mean, it could be real.
Those ones probably are fake.
They're like,
but,
oh,
you know.
everybody get half naked, start dancing.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the hell is going on right now?
Yeah, so she was actually coming over because I wanted to do a session with her. And so it was kind of like a, hey, let's have an interview. Let's kind of talk about what's to expect. And then I'll come back in like a week and we'll do the actual session.
Okay.
And so I told her about, you know, there's someone at the end of this hallway. He's not threatening. He just stands there. And when I get home, I tell him that I'm home, and then he like fucks off. And so she ended up doing this like crystal thing, which I thought was cool, where you basically take a crystal and you hover it over your palm. And then you ask yes or no questions, and depending on which way it goes, so if it goes like north to south, it's a yes, and if it's like east to west, it's a no. So we were sitting there asking questions, and then the crystal just like stopped dead center, and it was crazy. And I was like, okay, well, you know, thank you for talking to us, and you know, do you have anything else to say? And my friend and I were sitting next to each other, and at the same exact time, we felt, you know, when someone walks up to you and they put like their hand on your cheek to like say, it's okay. Like at the same time, we both get this like feeling of someone like just putting their hands on our cheeks, just telling us like, it's okay. And then the crystal kind of goes crazy. And then we're like,
I've had
nothing.
I've had that similar feeling.
Yeah.
Just not on my face.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's one of
When
my
you stole the rock from the
Yes,
graveyard.
Brian, when I stole the
Yeah.
rock.
Yes,
I
from
gave
the
it back.
graveyard.
I gave it back, old man. God damn.
You
But-
still stole a rock from a grave.
It wasn't stealing. I was a child.
I had no ethics. It wasn't stealing. So that's I
That's
mean,
gnarly.
Yeah,
That is super gnarly.
Yeah.
that's cool.
That's
It's
like
cool.
that's like in depth too. Like
Yeah.
So when you say that you like see that figure, like, do you see it at like out of the corner of your eye? Is it like a black figure? Is it like, do you see it like, or do you just kind of feel like there's something there?
well, like kind of like what I was saying earlier, I'm more of like energies. So it was just a different energy at the end of the hall.
Okay.
And it's different than when it's like, oh, it's a black hall, like it's creepy. It was definitely like a soothing, like protection type of energy, but he was still there. And I have a couple theories of who it could be or who it could have been, because my friend actually sat down with him and like helped him pass over because he was ready to pass over.
Oh, okay.
But he was very adamant about making sure we weren't finding out exactly who he was.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that was kind of my creepy, like both of us sitting there,
What the hell?
absolutely nothing going on, and then all of a sudden both getting that feeling of
Did it feel
it's
like
okay.
cold? Did it feel warm? Did it just feel like the pressure of a hand?
It kind of felt like a pressure, but it's more of like, you know, when you get like goosebumps.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like that.
You felt like goosebumps
but
on your
like,
face almost?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mine felt like someone had taken a popsicle and put it on my ass cheek. That's kind of what it felt like. I'm sorry, my cheek.
Popsicle, man.
Yeah.
You usually get a colder sensation, like a chill sensation when it's negative contact.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, but it felt like wet. It felt wet. That like cold and wet. And I was like, man, did I sit in something like wet? Like, is my butt wet? And I'm like, I feel my butt. It's all dry.
I don't think he hit you with his hand.
Oh.
He was like, "Establish dominance," and just starts beating on you.
So give him a gator slap.
Is this what you want? Okay. That's the only like actual touching or sensation I 100% know I felt.
Yeah.
That is the one thing where I'm like, this happened. That's probably like my closest ghost story was that cemetery one that I shared.
So I have a real short wild animal story because you guys told some wild animal
Did you
stories.
pee on it?
And then
I got a wild animal story.
And then I
too.
want you to launch into your corn episode to bring us home.
Alrighty.
So I was in Florida It was in Sanibel, little island in Florida on the Gulf Coast. I was dating this gal named Mary. And I think we've talked about her. It was the permanent makeup gal. I mentioned her a couple of times.
Permanent makeup?
Yeah, she did permanent makeup. Her nipples were tattooed to look like
hearts.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, God, that's so nice.
So we're walking across. It's late at night. Sanibel Island is like a vacation place. It's late at night. We're walking from one bar at one hotel. Like it's like an old person vacation place. So there's not a lot of young people that live there. And what you do when you live in an area or in an area like that, you go from like hotel bar to hotel bar, because hotel bars are the only bar. Like there isn't a nightclub or a bar. There's a hotel bar room ballroom that serves alcohol. So we're going from one to another, and we had to cross over this golf course. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard an alligator, but they make this like chuffing hiss noise. Mm-hmm. So we hear this. We both immediately know what it is. And in drunk brain, we bolt. And in drunk brain, we do what we've always been told, run in zigzags. So we bolt in zigzags. Sure as fuck enough, this thing decides, oh, they're running. I'm going to chase them. Probably.
Yeah, because people don't think, but like alligators and crocodiles, like they run.
Yeah. So this thing starts
run for very long, but
bolting.
they can do a little sprint.
This thing starts bolting across it. We're drunk. It could totally take us out. So this thing starts sprinting across the fucking green at us, and we just run up a tree. And the next morning at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever it was. No, it was probably earlier. It was probably like 7.
It was probably when the sun came up.
The sun's coming up. The groundskeeper comes out, just starts laughing at us, goes back and gets a hose, comes out and starts squirting the alligator with a hose until it fucks off. Chased us up a tree. So there's the two of us fucking huddled in this tree.
And he's fighting it up with a garden hose.
And this fucking alligator is just at the base, like still hissing at us. Yeah, and the groundskeeper just like squirted it with the hose, and it fucked off. And he was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" And we're like, "It chased us across the parking or the greens." And the guy's like, "The building is closer than the tree. What the fuck is wrong with you?" We literally could have turned around and gone back easier than running across the green into the tree, but drunk mind.
Yeah.
So that's my, I could have used the black dog right there. Hey, bro, you don't want to go across the green right now.
Instead, you got an alligator.
We got a fucking alligator.
You got a full-blown alligator.
That was actually our first date, and we ended up being a couple for couple months, about half a year.
I mean, traumatic experience of spending the night in a tree hiding from an alligator, you know?
Yeah, we totally opened up and shared a bunch of our soul. We didn't. We both peed.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably both peed from
When did you find out about heart nipples?
Probably like 3 days later.
She didn't share heart nipples with you night one?
No. So
we usually don't.
We're up in the tree, and I had to pee.
It's life or death situation.
So you pee out of the tree, obviously onto the alligator, because where the fuck else is it gonna go?
What does an alligator sound like when you pee on it?
Thirsty motherfucker.
It's got this like chuffy hiss noise when you pee on it.
Heard you was an
it's still
amphibian.
mad at you. And then she had to pee, and like obviously she, what do? You drop chow and fucking piss as a chick in the tree. So I got to see her downstairs genitalia before I got to see her upstairs genitalia.
That's too bad, man.
Not that I really paid attention, because the fucking alligator was at the base of the tree.
I don't know. With
Slightly more pressing
My
concern.
hard nipple chick, she didn't. I mean, that was a mystery until I got the bra off. And I was like, "What the hell is that?"
How do you get
I
the ink
knew.
to match the nipple color?
I knew she
good artist.
Yeah.
I knew she had told me before I had seen him, but I saw them.
You're like, prove
day 3.
Prove it. Show me.
it.
I didn't even see them where you think I would have seen them day 3. I saw them the next morning.
Where else
Because
are
the
nipples?
actual event.
What do you
It was
mean
in
you
the
didn't
dark?
see him where you saw
It was
him?
because our first like sexual experience was just spontaneous.
I thought you meant like
in
the
dark. So it was
location
next
of
morning.
the nipple, not
it was at her navel.
I was like, what do
and
you
fucking
mean?
travel
I
around.
think they
God damn
are.
it, Mark.
What is?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Do your boobs hang low? Do they wobble to and fro?
I got to tell you something. My nipples, they're not where you think they are.
You know, I know somebody.
Sorry,
I know somebody in this room whose first interaction with me ever was, "Hey, I got a third nipple."
It's right here.
Can you wiggle it? Can you wiggle
This
it?
is the weirdest wasteland conversation I've ever had, Kevin.
That's
And what, two and a half years later, I started playing Warhammer.
It
with
was
you?
probably already a topic of conversation with somebody you were standing next to, and then you turned around and was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I've got a third nipple," because that was already like what was happening.
I don't think you guys have ever seen that dude. He got this tattoo. It's a full back piece, right? And it's this chick, right? Her tits are his ass cheeks. Like he tattooed his nipples on his ass cheeks, and then like the whole back piece is her.
Wow.
Right? So he was a major hit in prison.
I'm like, I kind of have a feeling I know where this is going.
Wow.
All right, Kev. So as we've done with all of our Lorus Obscurus episodes, we like to try to end connecting back ghost stories and kind of horror stories to something that may take place in the Hive, or just a story that deals with something spooky in the Hive. We've been focusing on the dark chaos gods, and Kevin has a fable for us, or
It's
urban legend for us about.
Is this a Hive urban legend?
It is.
Oh,
It's actually when I wrote it, I went through several phases of kind of redoing it.
Yep. Good man.
Yeah.
Rewrite forever, never release.
Well, because I ended up kind of ending up with like two kind of separate versions of the story, and then I ended up picking one version I like better, and all that stuff. I'm terrible, and I never actually wrote it down.
Oh,
you never wrote the story
good.
down?
I like wrote down like pieces of it, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like you go back to rewrite it, and then like I never like wrote down the finalized version.
Dude, I would not remember
But-
shit.
I didn't write down mine.
Yeah, Tom didn't write his
You're
down.
fucking different. Shut up.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm good at that too sometimes.
At remembering, yeah, that's true. That's true. You
Like
remember a lot of lore and whatnot.
Lore-based stuff because it's
Right.
like I can follow a pattern or
Right,
something
right,
to
right.
it. But so I wrote it, and then I ended up deciding that it's kind of better from first person.
Okay.
So I ended up with a first person little Khorne spooky dookie.
Okay. Let's. Do we need to set the tone?
So
Do tell.
so yeah, it's Khorne obviously. So it's going to be related to violence.
You ruined
Spoiler alert! It's going to be violent.
Spoiler alert, it's corn. Everybody's
It's
corn.
going to be violent, and it's first person. So yeah, pretty much. I guess it takes place in a hive, and I guess I could just warm it up a little bit with saying like the first person character is a fighter in the pits in the gangs.
okay.
it. Okay.
So that's like the backstory for the character. I mean, I guess without further ado, man, now you're all looking at me. I'm getting all nervous.
I'm looking at the ground right now.
I ain't
like-
got a goose to
feels
piss on,
like-
so I just said.
Feels like you're all looking at me.
Nah, man, I'm trying to feel it, man. I'm vibing. I'm trying to get in the mood.
The
Trying to-
spooky dookie man.
I'm gonna take a nap.
You need me. You need me to get you in the mood, Kevin.
Oh no,
All right.
No.
no. I awoke face down in a pool of my own blood. How did I get here? The last thing I remember was the door bursting open, followed by a flash of light and the sound of gunfire. As I awoke, I found my family dead around me, a wound in my side, but nothing fatal. I should have just thrown the fight like he said, but he will pay. I gather my things to go get vengeance for my fallen family. As I think to myself, how can I have the strength to take on an entire gang organized against my own demise? I load my auto pistol and head down back to the pits. Vengeance will be mine. As I descend into the layers of the pit, the gang guards open up fire because they know that I'm supposed to be dead already. I return fire, left, right, duck, dodge, moving down the hallway. One by one, the enemies die. Each one, I feel a little bit closer to my goal. Each one, I feel a little bit stronger. As I continue further, 7, 8, 9 gangers have hit the floor. My auto pistol's almost empty. I'm going to have to reload soon. As I enter the main areas of the pit, I'm surrounded on all sides. I begin firing. I begin whirling around, trying to find any way to get a new weapon. All the weapons are empty. All the bullets have been spent. I reach down. I pull my knife. I go deep in the first ganger that gets within arm's reach, his blood fountaining out of his neck in a fountain of gore. The next ganger gets within reach. That one too, slashed across the face, kicked in the chest, crumples back against the wall. Continuing on, I know I'm going to get close. The boss will die. I will have his head. As I get into that room, the boss rises to meet me in single combat. I throw down my knife. This will be man versus man. As we engage, blows traded back and forth, bruises forming, blood welling up from our strikes. Eventually, I have him by the throat, on the ground, beating his head into the concrete. And that's where all I can hear is the laughing. It turns out the laughing is my own, and my enemy has been dead for many days. That's it. That's it.
Like it. That's cool, man.
Sort of like a, what do they call that?
Hardcore Henry is what it reminded me of.
A little bit.
Dig it, man. That was good.
Yeah,
What do they
cool.
call those?
I like
It's
that.
not, I'm thinking of like, it's not like an autobiography. It's a monologue. Yeah.
Essentially, it was.
It's a monologue. No, I like that. That
It
was
was,
good.
and the way I
different
kind of
take.
yeah,
Yeah.
the way I kind of like wanted it to kind of flow was like when you get into a situation where like you have to resort to like a hyper violent state, like your brain will erase certain details.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
I didn't want to include all those details because from the first person's perspective, like those are the moments that mattered.
Yeah,
firing, moving, reloading, moving on to the next, drawing
Yeah, and
another
if you're trying
weapon.
to tell that from the third person, you're like, and then he steps to the left,
Right.
and then he's thinking, oh, I need to pull, my second mag out or some bullshit. It doesn't have as much effect.
It doesn't have the same effect. I wanted it to kind of like feel like tense and like
Right,
the
yeah,
pulsing,
definitely.
and that's so I wrote it was as in a bunch of kind of short lines about.
No, as a monologue, I think that works really well, actually.
When you approach storytelling from a third person perspective, you got to be willing to write down as many details as you think are pertinent and then go back and rereads and get rid of a bunch of stuff. And that's it's important to do that or you do suffer that like over describing things.
Right.
And if it doesn't make sense, when you read it out loud to somebody else, if it doesn't make sense, then you've got to kind of narrow down like what you might have to add back in. But there's also, depending on the type of story you're telling and depending on the type of mood that you're trying to get across, that like kind of short chopped method is used a lot to kind of direct tension, rising tension,
Cadence, flow, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Can set a pace, story pace.
man.
It's cool.
It was I couldn't really think of a way to stretch that out too much longer, like because with the first person like using the
you don't need to.
mittens.
Yeah, no, it was a good ending.
No, honestly, that was really smart to use it as a monologue because like the struggle I always have with it if we're trying to write something is like, oh, and then he said this, and then they said this, and then he said this.
And
And
it
then
comes
you
off
just
like a
kinda
5-year-old wrote it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you come back and you're like, okay, now I have to. He exclaimed this, and then
Right.
he verb. You know what I mean? Like trying to
Different
come up
ways
with like
of
different ways
saying,
of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So like reading it as a monologue is actually really good because all you're doing is you're just
It trims
telling
the
what
fat.
you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just saying, hey, here's what I did. I did this, and it's okay to say I did. You know what I mean? Because it's just that's what you did.
You're thinking to yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I, in the moment, got nervous and forgot some details that I was trying to put in there. But the gist of the story maintained its weight.
Yeah.
With
Well, and that's
the
also
ending being that the ultimate victory, but at like what cost? He basically sold his soul for the violent power to go end all these gangers.
Oh, bro.
yeah. Well, and that's like the important part too, is that Khorne is very direct. Khorne is the Lord of Skulls, the kind of god of war.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, that guy
Brutality.
just went and murdered the 69th Street Bangers.
And then laughed over their corpses for 3 days.
Yep.
Can you imagine that though?
The
Like
Arbites just stood up to
he's been beating
the same dude.
this same dude against the ground again, probably for 3 days.
Yeah, like going
Laughing.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laughing the entire time.
Yeah. And I figured that could then turn into like a spooky ghost story in the
Oh, yeah.
Hive too. So like,
Well, and that-
you hear
and
the
in the new
laughing-
stadium.
And
if
is
you
that
hear the laughing
Constant
man.
banging and laughing.
Yeah.
Is that
In the
guy
new
still
stadium.
around? Or did that guy after laughing for 3 days get up and go, I got to burn it down now.
Yeah.
That's why the stadium's gone. That's
That's kind of why I left it open-ended, is I figured either there could be like a part 2, or we could work it into our Hive lore in some way.
And that's what I did when you guys helped me.
Haunted Stadium.
When I wrote the story about Katya. Katya wanders the Underhive.
Oh yeah,
she's around.
That's Ginger Kevin ghost. That's Katya.
Kevin ghost.
She's redheaded servitor.
She used to be a servitor.
But she got her body right.
She got her body back. She got her body
because
out.
of Zine.
Shit, the gifts of Zine.
The stadium and the telltale fists.
She's got heart-shaped nipples. Beware the heart-shaped nipples.
Yeah, guys. So that'll wrap us up for our 4th episode of Lorus Obscurus, Paint It Red. If you guys are digging this type of lore, you guys are digging this type of episodes, you have your own ghost stories you want to share with us, you have your own Underhive urban legends or Underhive lore that you want to share, you can shoot that over to us at jimdarkgaming@gmail.com or underthehiveofmadness@gmail.com. If you want to get a little bit more involved with how we write lore, as well as interact with us personally, play some games with us, anything else like that, get involved in our painting contests or anything else that we have going on, you can find us on Discord.
Really is probably the most active. Like, we're the most active on Discord. I'd say, like, you're usually, I've experienced recently a lot of other Discords. I've been jumping around and like seeing other like content creation and their Discords. Yeah. And you don't get to talk to them. I kind of pride ourselves. I pride myself and us. We are there. We respond. We communicate with you guys.
And not just in our like subscriber channels. We talk in all of them.
In all of them. Yeah, exactly. Like, we only have one channel that like we use just for ourselves. And we're not even really in it all that much. We're in the other ones.
That's our business channel.
Yeah, it's where we discuss production meeting stuff.
It's really just me asking Ryan if he wants to go out to lunch.
No, we do that. We do that in general chat. Don't lie. We do that in general chat.
But soon I'll be in there too.
Yeah, hell yeah. Definitely a great way to connect with us and the rest of our community. We have a big community there. It's a pretty damn fun place. If you guys want to help us out a little bit more directly, you can either like or share the podcast with your friends or find us over at Patreon. We are at patreon.com/underthehiveofmadness. Patreon exclusive content that you guys can get access to, as well as polls, helping us in those production meetings, like I just mentioned, with giving us some show ideas or possibly helping us pick the next major lore topic we do. We also have some rewards as far as artwork and some other stuff that we are working on. And as we come up with new ideas, we'll definitely share it with you guys. You guys can join us on Twitch Friday nights between 6 and 6:30. That's when we start at twitch.tv/jimdark_gaming. We do all sorts of stuff from battle reports to game nights to hobby nights to ask us anything sessions. Pretty good way to connect with us. If you're looking at getting involved with our painting contests or anything else, we have worked it out so that we kind of do rewards through Patreon and Twitch. We try to equate them out to each other to make everything as fair as possible. Speaking of Patreon, we have 2 new members. We would like to thank Tim P. Thank you very much for coming in as a Herald of the Four-Armed Rat. And Robert S. Thank you for coming in again as a Herald of the Four-Armed Rat. It's awesome when you guys join us through that. It really helps us kind of unlock the next couple of goals we have as far as our roadmap, which has to do with the type of equipment and all sorts of stuff that we want to bring in to the studio to kind of make everything a little bit better. Lastly, if you guys want to find us on social media, you can use our link tree, which is linktree/underthehive. We've talked about it before, and I will mention it again. We do have a website. We are diligently trying to come up with a plan that we all like. Web design is something that can be real easy until it's your project. Really easy to do for other people, but then when it's your project, you kind of get lost in the weeds.
Can't make any decisions.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we are. We are working on it, though. We definitely have that desire to bring it to you guys when we can. We would like to thank our special guest for coming out today. Thank you very much and sharing.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've had fun.
Awesome. Hopefully we can bring you out for another Lorus Obscurus.
It's our first grill.
It's our first what?
It's our first grill on the podcast.
It's true. It is.
We
Are you okay?
exist.
You okay there? Do you play an army?
No.
Yeah,
Do you have a passing interest?
You're just
Okay.
gonna straight up
Okay.
lie on the
I
podcast.
remember
Okay, I haven't-
specifically shooting at your Harlequins.
I
Okay.
remember specifically
Okay.
taking it in the booty.
I
from your
started. So I started an army,
Okay.
which was the Harlequins.
Okay.
But then I stopped. So technically, I have one started, but I've only played a couple games.
Well, I guess if you come on again in the future, we're going to have to do normally in our normal podcast or lore podcast, we do a hobby roundup at the end. So if we start dragging you into our hobby roundup, you're going to have to start painting some models, posting them on Discord.
Instagram and stiff.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. You won't.
You
do
won't.
It. Do it. You won't do it.
Well, that'll wrap it up tonight for the Pirate Vodcast here at 665.66 ChemRat Radio. Remember once again on this third night of Noctis Servitum Eternus that you light those candles. We're looking forward to seeing how many kids this year don that four-armed emperor costume, but remember to double check that it is little Timmy coming back and not a new house guest who might want to eat your toes.
Yeah, you don't want to put a hole in anything
little
other than
Timmy.
you don't want to put a hole in little Timmy, man. They don't taste as good as the sump rats.
I think you're wrong, but that's all right.